If you find yourself practicing a single song for weeks and months and you're still not able to play it in its entirety, then you're doing it incorrectly. That's why it's taking so long, and that's why you're not able to play the song. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 tips to help you learn songs faster. And be sure to stick around for tip number 5, because a lot of people tend to ignore that one, and it's one of the biggest reasons why it's taking so long to learn the songs. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Warren McPherson, where you learn how to play gospel piano by ear. Let's jump right into it. So the tip number 1, first thing you want to do is to learn the melody. A lot of people want to learn songs and they say they get the chord charts or they get the sheet and they just dump right in. But if you say, can you hum me the melody to this song from beginning to end? They can't do it. They don't know the song. The melody of the song is like your lighthouse. It's the guiding light. That's how you memorize the structure and the form of the song. It's through the melody. If you don't know the melody by heart, then you're going to struggle to be able to play the chords. You're going to be able to struggle to play the melody itself on the piano. So you have to learn the melody first. And so the best way you want to go about learning the melody of a song is to just spend time listening to it and humming to it. Whenever I have to learn a song, before I even touch the keyboard, I will spend 2-3 days just listening to the song. I don't necessarily learn the lyrics, but I know the melody. I can hum you the melody from beginning to end. So when I sit at the piano, I have my roadmap as to how I'm going to go about learning the song, because the melody is here, right? So oftentimes a lot of folks messing up because they don't know what chord comes next, because they don't know where the melody is going next. So that's the first thing, you have to learn the melody. The second thing you want to do is to convert all the chords to the number system. Assuming that you already have all the chords for the song, either through a chord chart or a score or a lead sheet or something, immediately start to convert those chords into numbers. And what do I mean by that? If we're in the key of C, you might say, oh, it's just a C major, F major, G major, A minor, D minor, E minor, right? Those are the chords in the key of C, or those are just chords on the piano. But you want to immediately start to associate them with a key. The best way to do that is to say C is the 1. So if you have the chords written out, write a 1 over it, right? F is the 4 chord. G is the 5 chord. A minor is the 6. E minor is the 3 chord. D minor is the 2 chord. And as you're going through practicing the chords of the song, think about their numeric relationship in the key. This way, you're not thinking of just isolated chords by themselves, but you're thinking about an entire system, how the chords are connected. Learning the number system is one of the most powerful ways to learn piano by ear and to learn chords. And if you want to learn more about the number system, I'm going to link to a video down below where I talk about this in details, so you can check that out. The third tip is to simplify the chords. I know we want to play those big, luscious gospel chords and jazz chords, and those sound very beautiful. But if you're not at that level just yet and you're just learning the song, don't worry about those big extensions yet. Simplify the chords down to their triads, right? And just say, well, I'm playing the 1, I'm in the key of F, then I'm going to the 4, then I'm going to the 5, right? So you just learn them in their simplified form. And then once you get a little bit comfortable, you don't want to wait too long to reintroduce back the other tones. Once you get a little bit comfortable and have an understanding of what's going on with the chords, then you can reintroduce the other notes. If they're odd 9ths or major 7 or dominant 9th or 13th and stuff like that, then you can reintroduce those notes back to the chord. Now, if you're like, Warren, I don't know anything about those big chords. When I see them, I don't know what those chords are. I can play them, but I don't know how to name them. Well, I have a free PDF I want you to download. The link is in the description. I call it the 7 steps to naming any chord. And there are really only 7 steps to this process. So this PDF is going to help you to be able to analyze the notes and then be able to strategically add the correct name to those chords. So download that PDF below, 7 steps to naming any chords. Before we continue, I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to the sponsors of today's video, X Layout and their X Central Monitor Stand Desk Organizer. Check out their X Central Monitor Stand Razor. It's a workplace game changer. Not only does it lift your monitor to the perfect height with its foldable legs, but it also keeps your desk clutter-free with handy drawers. The cool part, it's got a USB hub with 2 USB-A ports, a USB-C port, and a micro B port, so you can connect all your devices easily. And for the extra flair, it has RGB lights with different modes. Plus, there's an adjustable tilt for laptops and tablet users. Stylish and practical. Find it at xlayout.net or click the link in the description down below. All right, let's jump back into the content. Tip number 4 is to learn the song in sections. Oftentimes, folks try to learn the song beginning to end, and then they go back from the beginning, then right through to the end, beginning to end. That's a lot of information to process because an average song might have an intro, a verse 1, a chorus, then a verse 2, then a chorus, then a bridge, then a vamp. All of those are different sections of the song. And so trying to go through all of that in one go when you're just sitting down to learn the song, it's too much information to process. It's going to take you a longer time. It's also, you get frustrated throughout the process because you're undoubtedly going to make a lot of mistakes. So it's better to focus on different sections. So to sit down, you say, I'm just going to focus on the chords of the intro. Now, it's important to note that you don't want to wait there and say, I'm going to perfect the intro before I move on. No, you just want to get comfortable and understand what's happening within the intro of the song. Once you learn that, then you say, I'm just going to jump now and focus on the first verse. Once you're somewhat comfortable, the chorus. Now, oftentimes, both verses share the same chords, or at least 95% of the same chords. So once you learn verse 1, you kind of also learn verse 2. So then you can move on to the bridge and if there's a vamp and so on. Now, once you've kind of gone through the song in sections like that, then you can start to put them together. So you can say, I'm going to hit out the intro, the first verse and the chorus. Focus on that half. And then, you layer it. And this is how you learn the song effectively. And so when you sit down, you need to know where your sections are within the song. Even if you're not accurate, you got to just mark out a section and call it something. Say, well, I think this is the intro. I think this is the verse. I think this is the chorus. Again, you might not be correct in the naming of those sections, but it doesn't matter. You're just giving yourself sections so you have something to focus on, so you know not to go over that section. So it's very important to do all of that preparatory work as it relates to sectioning and learning the chords that way. Tip number 5, and this is a one that a lot of people don't even think about, is they don't practice to a metronome or a drum beat. They just sit and they just focus on the chords. The problem with that, the original song that you're trying to play to, or that you're going to try to accompany for a singer, that is going to be in time. So if you spend a month learning a song and you've never practiced it in the context of a metronome or of some form of timing, some form of drum pattern going, something to keep you in time. If you've never done that, the minute that happens, it's going to throw you off because now you're going to feel like your backup's against the wall, the clock's ticking, and you got to move from one chord to the next and from this chord to the other chord, but you've never practiced it with that sort of, let's go, time is of the essence, right? And so that throws you off. So as soon as possible, introduce some form of timing, some form of meter. Oftentimes folks say, but I play and I sing the song. I'm singing and I'm accompanying myself. But the thing is, you compensate for the spots that you don't know by deliberately slowing down. Right? So you might say, what a friend we have in Jesus. You see that big gap that I just took right there? to figure out the chords and then go, and then I deliberately slow down my voice to compensate. Thing is, when you have to play for someone else or you're playing to a backing track, they're not waiting for you. And so all those little gaps and slowdowns that you made to compensate during your practice, automatically got to throw those out the window, and then you realize you start to crash and burn because you didn't practice to a metronome. So the best way to do this is to slow down the metronome. Now, the metronome is basically just a timekeeping device. So when I say drum beat, it's also a metronome. Personally, I recommend practicing to a drum beat because you get used to groove. It's also easier to devise and come up with rhythms when you practice to somewhat of a groove opposed to just a toop, 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 toop. However, if the metronome is the only thing you have at your disposal, use it. It's better than not using it at all. So you pick the slowest tempo possible that you can play the chords to. Now you only introduce the metronome once you get somewhat comfortable with the chords. Because if you're just learning the chords and trying to play in time, again, that's too much things to think about. So you try to get somewhat comfortable with the chords first, then you introduce the metronome, and you're going to slow it down to a pace or to a beat, a BPM, where you can comfortably play those chords in time. And as you get good at that tempo, you increase it. I think a good sort of rate to increase your metronome is by 2 or 5 beats at a time. And that's how you gradually increase until you reach your desired tempo where you can practice and play the song in time. Now, if you do it that way, whenever you have to accompany someone or play with a drummer or play with a guitarist or to a backing track, you would have gotten already accustomed. Your body's already used to playing these chords in time, and so that's not going to be a problem. This is a big one. Do not practice without a metronome once you've already learned the chords. Keeping timing is a fundamental element of music, so we can't ignore it. Have to be able to play chords in time. The steps that I just outlined about preparing and learning songs faster predominantly sort of goes to just playing chord, right? Playing chords to a song, accompanimental. But if you want to learn how to play chords with melody, I have a video right here that you can check out that teach you how to do that and do it effectively. So check that out. And again, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Little things like that really does help the channel. Bye for now, and talk soon.